Hi everyone. It is Wednesday, January 20th, 2016. Oh my god, I'm so used to saying last year. It's 2016, and this is episode 53 of Serenova Crafts. I'm your host, Jessica. You can find me as Serenova on Ravelry and Twitter and Periscope, and as Serenova underscore Phoenix on Instagram. You can find the show notes for today's episode on my blog or in the Ravelry group, both of which are listed in the credits. And I'd like to thank all new viewers, all returning viewers. Thank you for all the likes, subscribes, comments. I would really love if you would come to the Ravelry group and join and talk to me there. I'm really active on Ravelry, and let's get started. Yeah, so not quite sure where to start today. The last week has certainly been interesting. I did finish something. I'm wearing it, but I'll talk about that in a minute. I started a new design project. I had a bit of starter-itis, so there's quite a few whips. Yeah, I can't think of anything else except for, some winter camp stuff. I got a smidge of stash, and, yeah, I think that's about it. So I'm going to start right off with the finished object as soon as I pull something into reach for my drawing. There we go. Ta-da! As you can see, things are still a mess behind me, but I'm working on it slowly. I got a new, I said I was going to do FOs and now I'm not. I got a new flour sifter. See this one? It has the hand crank. Because the one with the squeezy thing on the handle was driving me bonkers last week when I was doing all the baking. So I threw it out, and I got a new one. And this one won't make my hand cramp from going squeezy, squeezy all the time. So yeah, I did a ton of baking last week. I did periscopes on Monday and Friday last week. And they are both up on the YouTube channel. Okay, now that I went back and edited things and time travel, right? So, and I talked for a minute about baking. Both baking periscopes are on YouTube. I downloaded the videos and then combined them and uploaded them. So Monday last week is up, and then this past Friday is up. This past Friday I made a family anise cookie recipe and some challah, which came out really good, and everybody really liked it at my LYS because I brought a loaf on Friday to my LYS that evening. And then on Saturday I finished baking the dough because I'd left half of it in the fridge overnight because I was exhausted by the time I got home at like 8:30 on Friday night. So I brought a fresh loaf over to my dad's, and it was gone in like 15 minutes. So. But I'd never made bread before, and it came out really good. Actually, I will link the recipe I used in the show notes if you're interested, because it did come out really good. It's a little sweet, but challah is supposed to be like that. So I'm just going to make a note to myself so that I remember to do it. Link challah recipe. There we go. And so let's get started. The FO, I'm wearing it. I'm going to take it off in a minute, though, because it's way too warm in here to be wearing a wool hat. But it's easier to see it if I have it. It's easier to see it if I have it on. So, this is called Agathis. I don't remember if the pattern is for free on Ravelry. I had it in my library. I honestly don't know if it's free or not. I'm going to look that up. Agathis. Come on, internet, load, please. Thank you. Agathis is free. It's by Agata Smektala. That's what it looks like, as you can see, because I'm wearing it. I just finished it this morning. I was on the VKN last night. I'm out of focus again. This is going to be a thing. There we go. Goes right back. I clicked the autofocus button thinking that it would stay put, and then it didn't. So I'm just going to manually adjust the focus now. I finished the pattern repeats on the VKN last night because you have I don't mind showing you this because it's a free pattern. So you have the brim chart, then you have the body chart, which you do either 2 or 3 times depending. I didn't have enough yarn to do it 3 times, or it would have been slouchy. So I did it just the twice to get it just as beanie, basically. So I did twice, and then you do the crown shaping. So I finished the body chart last night on the VKN, and that's when I got off the VKN. So I finished the chart, went to bed. So this morning, before I recorded, I was determined to, I'm just gonna open this a little bit to get some more light, though it's gonna wash me out. I need to get shears for this room, but that's not bad. I was determined to finish before I started recording today, so I could have an FO to show you, because otherwise I wouldn't have had anything. It would have been all waste, right? So, I got up and I started, working on it, and then I got distracted by other stuff, like going through my email and I had to do some online stuff for someone else, and my tax lady emailed me because I need to get my taxes done and all this stuff, right? There's a whole thing, right? So, of course, it's, 11:30 and now I'm recording, right? So, it's going to be a little later in the afternoon by the time you get this, but no big deal, right? So, FO, whips. I'm going to take this off now because, it's way too warm in here. It's like 74 degrees in the apartment. And we have our thermostat set to something like 66, but the people downstairs crank the heat, and so I just die of heat stroke all the time. So here we go. I actually don't mind it during the day because I like being warm, but I like to sleep a little cooler, and so it kind of sucks that I can't do that, But anyways, and yesterday, because the cat has caught a couple of mice in the apartment. I put one picture up on Instagram, last week or the week before last when I was sick, because she caught a mouse that morning. And, I called maintenance and I'm like, hey, can you come do something about this? Because they're in the building. They're not just in our apartment. They're like in the walls and stuff, because we can hear them at night skittering in the ceiling. So he came in on Friday, and they set traps, and then they came back yesterday and they checked the traps. And, they did catch mice and they were still kind of alive, and I was like, oh, the poor things, and I felt bad. But I didn't want them eating our food. We didn't want the cat making a mess, so. But he said he put traps in the boiler room as well, and I told him how I thought they were getting in, which was through the back door of the building, because chipmunks were living in the door jamb, in the spring, and I'm pretty sure that's how the mice got in, because, well, if chipmunks can get in, well, then mice can too. But chipmunks tend to go outside to forage for food, while mice tend to come inside. The cat's having fun anyways, but he sealed, where the pipes come out under the sink and stuff, so, that's something at least. So, now, whips. I got absolutely no work done on my stone cutter. It is exactly the same place you saw it last week. And even though it's sitting on the desk right here taunting me, I haven't touched it in a week. And I really should remedy that and work on it. But, I haven't, so I'm not going to show it to you because picking it up is kind of pointless if there's been no progress at all. And that was weird. I just got out of sync with myself watching myself on the video. So hopefully when I go back and rewatch it, when I do all my edits and everything, it'll be good. So, this photo I have been working on is Dark Marking Day, because this one has a deadline. This one has a deadline. It keeps doing it. I hope I'm in sync for the entire video. Let me know, okay? It's going to be weird. So, I haven't done much on it, but I did get a few inches done. So, the marker is where I was. And as you can see, I separated for the sleeves. It's on a 16-inch needle, so, I can only hold it up so much. So, here it is. So, that's the marker. And that's how much I've knit. I've knit 3 inches on it. Hold on, I'm going to click the autofocus button so that it will focus when I hold it up to the camera. There we go. See, I've knit about 3 inches. And so, that should be good. I'm working on this now. And actually, now that I've shown you, I'm going to move the marker so I don't forget. So that I know for next week. Hopefully next week I will have started. My goal for next week is by the time I show you guys next week to have started the body stripe sequence, to have started the stripes on the body, because this is the sweater I made that has all the stripes. So I want to have at least started the stripes by the time you see it next week. So, and I talked to the person who designed the sweater, because I'm knitting this as a sample for her, and I said, look, you don't want me to use my measurements for the torso length, because I'm short, and I only knit 2 inches under the bust, under where you separated for the arms and then reconnected, right? And she said, okay, knit 4 inches, so because that's a good average torso before I start the waist shaping. Because on me, it was 2 inches. On her, it was 6 inches. So we're 4 is a good middle ground, because she's got a really long torso and I've got a really short torso. So we kind of pick somewhere in the middle, right? So, that's good. Let me pull up Evernote here. Thank you. I have been working on my socks, though not much. I don't need the agathis pattern anymore. That can go away. And it fell. I'm hoping to turn the heel soon on these. I haven't knit much since last week, only about 2 colors and a smidge of a third. But I'm getting close to where I would do the heel, probably another color, probably this color, and a portion of the next color will get me to the heel. And then I'll turn it, and I'm going to use this orange for my heel. So, that'll be good. Yay, it's autofocusing back on me. But those have been my purse knitting, so they haven't gotten much work on them, because honestly, I haven't gone out much, and when I have gone out, I've gone to knitting, and I've been working on other things, because I'm at knitting groups. And at knitting groups, I can pull up patterns and spread out on a table and stuff, right? So, these are personally formed like in line places or in a car or whatever, right? And because I'm either the one driving or I'm at a knitting group recently, I don't really have much opportunity to work on these. So I'm gonna try to focus on these in the next week. I wanna maybe have one sock done by next week. Goal, maybe, possibly. So I started a design project. This is using some Madeline Tosh I had in stash. This is going to be a triangle shawl when it's done, but I mean, it's on the needle right now. So there you go. That's a preview of what I'm working on. You can see me through. Woo! It's a meshy shawl, and I'm going to knit until I get to the point where I want to start the border, because I finally figured out the math for this on Friday. Finally figured out the math. I was struggling with it all last week. It was driving me bonkers. And then Friday night, Kevin asked me what I was doing. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to do yada yada. And as I was explaining it out loud to him, I realized where I'd screwed up and promptly fixed it. And hey, what do you know, the math works. So now, I just need to knit to the point where I do the border, figure out what I'm going to do for a border, finish it, and then type it up, and it'll be for sale, because that's a new design project. And so the last thing I'm going to show you goes into a little bit of stash. Now, I get a yarn credit for working at my local shop, so that's how I got this yarn without having a job right now, is I'm kind of doing a consulting thing for my local shop, so she's giving me basically store credit as payment, and I also had a gift card from my boyfriend's sister, and so that is how I bought this yarn. So the first one I'm going to show you is still in the skein, and this is a gorgeous blue fingering. It's almost the same color as my shirt, though it's a little darker actually. But it's this gorgeous color. This is from Wonderland Yarns, and this is Cheshire Cat, which is a fingering weight. It's 512 yards to 4 ounces, which means it's a light fingering. But the color is Wells of Fancy, because all of the color names for this yarn is based off of Alice in Wonderland. I thought that was really cool. And they're based in Vermont. This dyer is based in Vermont. They also do fiber. Hand spun by Frabjous Fibers, dyed and spun in the U.S. And there's a quote from Lewis Carroll on the band that says, "If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense." And so this is, it says machine wash, cold. It says, however, to ensure a long life for your lovingly handmade item, hand wash in cold water and lay flat to dry. So it is a super wash, but they suggest hand washing. This is going to be a shawl. I'm not sure what shawl. I might do one of my more lacy ones that I have from like Estonian knits or wrapped in lace. Might do one of those. I haven't decided yet, but I could not pass up this. It's gorgeous. It's so soft. I want to just rub it on my face. Or pull a lid and stick it down my shirt, though the collar isn't big enough on this. I can stick it up my shirt. Anyways, this. And then I got 2 other yarns from the same dyer, except these are a sport weight. So I got 2. I got this orange, and I got this gray. And as you can see, I've already wound up the gray because I've already started something with it. So I got these all on Friday this past week, and I decided I wanted to knit a cameo. And so this is the start of the cameo. And I know it looks a little like a hitchhiker, but the cameo has picots on the edge instead of the indents of the hitchhiker. And oh yeah, like I said, I had starteritis. I cast out a hitchhiker as well. See, here it is. This is Bad Egg on Moon Pie Merino from Lammy Toes, who is dyed by Amanda of the Not a Podcast. She's Wit on Ravelry. It's lammytoesshop.etsy.com for her. Right. This person doesn't have an Etsy. She only wholesales to yarn shops, so I can't give you hers. But so this is the cameo. I started like this. Cameo is, I have the pattern here because I've been printing out patterns recently instead of using the iPad, mainly because the patterns I've been doing don't have charts, and I really like the iPad for the charts. But anyways, so here it is. Here's the cameo. So it starts off as one color, then you stripe the 2 colors together, and then you do a eyelet lace edging of just the one. So I decided I was going to start with the gray and end with the orange, so that my lace is going to be in this orange. So the gray color is, I don't know what I did with the label, but it is Hookah Smoke. And this is, and Mad Hatter is the yarn, and it's a sport weight, so I know it's a little heavier, because Cameo calls for fingering weight. And this is a sport weight, but at my gauge, it doesn't really matter. And the orange is Pennyworth, so Hookah Smoke and Pennyworth. And the Mad Hatter, which is a sport weight, and it's 344 yards to 4 ounces, 100% superwash merino, so like the same care as the other one. I haven't folded this up yet because I don't need it yet, but I needed the orange because I wanted to cast on. I basically got home from knitting on Friday and cast on a cameo. So I've been working on this a little bit on and off because it's only a 4-row repeat, so it's really easy to move quickly on that. So that is that. And then the last stash I have is, we have a sock club at my local shop, and I'm in it, and so is another woman. And she didn't want her yarn for the sock club, so I offered to buy it off of her. And she brought it yesterday. Excuse the crinkling, sorry, not sorry. She brought it yesterday when I went to my Barnes & Noble knitting group. So this is Mirasol Sisa. It's a, I think it's a worsted weight. I would need to look it up, actually. So I'm not sure what weight it is, because it's one of those chain fly yarns. And honestly, I don't know what weight it is. But I'm thinking about using it for a shawl. Ooh, I'm doing the lag thing again. I'm closing a couple of things on the computer so that I stop lagging, because I don't want to lag. Okay, I can close these programs because I don't need them. Okay. I closed a couple of processor-heavy programs, so hopefully it's better. So this is, according to Ravelry, a worsted weight. So now I have 4 skeins of a worsted weight yarn that I can knit into something, hopefully, really nice. So, let's see. Couple of other things. I'm still doing the giveaway for my Lilac Leaves pattern. I cannot show you the scarf because it's living at my local shop as a sample. But there is a thread in my Ravelry group. And you answer the question that's in the first post of the thread. And you're only allowed to enter once. You have to be a member of the group to win. And I will do a drawing next week on the podcast. Also, VKN tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is -5 GMT. Just a standard come, hang out, chat, knit, whatever, no big deal. I'm trying to think. Next week's podcast might come in the evening instead of the morning, because I have a friend who is going to New York, and I'm driving them into Boston so they can take the train. So they'll be, I'll be driving them in for that. So that will be, sorry, I was making sure the cover was on my yarn. So it might come later in the afternoon, like evening time, like 5, 6 o'clock. It might get uploaded next week. I'm still catching up on podcasts. I've made it to January, but now we're 3 weeks into January. So almost 4. It's almost 4 weeks into January. It's like 3.5, right? But I'm into January. I'm now watching podcasts from earlier this month. I'm no longer in December. I've managed to catch up. I did decide I was going to stop watching a couple or listening to a couple that I wasn't really feeling. So I did find another podcast to listen to. So, I got rid of 2, added 1. I had a decrease of 1 because I realized I was being overwhelmed. And the ones, I'm really sticking with a few of them that I really enjoy and I really watch all the time. And a couple of them that I'm kind of like, oh, I have to watch another episode when they come up again. I decided to stop following them. So there's a few there. And I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say who it was. I will say it's no one on the VKN. It was other people who didn't have as regular uploading schedules. And I'm still lagging and I don't know why. Now I'm not lagging. Every time I start paying attention to it, it stops lagging. Hopefully this video comes out okay. Fingers crossed. And yes, I can actually do that. Fingers crossed. Ooh, fingers crossed. So, lastly, book club. Because last week was when we met and talked about the book. Now, my Nook's in the other room, so I can't show you the cover of the book we read last week. We read The Snow Child by Aylin Levy for last week. Because that was, we meet the second Thursday of every month at the yard shop. So you knit and you talk about a book. Good times, right? And so, I had not read the book on Thursday morning, so I proceeded to read the whole thing in less than 3 hours. And then we were talking about it that night. I went, oh yeah, this morning when I was reading it, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, wait a minute, you read it this morning? I'm like, yeah, in about 2.5, 3 hours. And they were just like, really? You read a 300-some-odd page novel in that short of time? I'm like, yeah, I read really fast. I always have. I've always been an absolutely voracious reader when I actually sit down and read. So, we were going to do another book for February, but we decided instead we wanted to do one that had some levity to it. And I know you might not think this has some levity to it, and I didn't think so, which is why I was actively avoiding reading it, but I was outvoted, and we decided to read The Martian by Andy Weir. And I actually got a hard copy of it this time. I mean, it's not a hard cover, but it's a hard copy. It's not digital, right? So here we go. The Martian by Andy Weir. And I deliberately didn't get the movie cover. Deliberately. Autofocus is not working again. Come on. There we go. I deliberately did not get the movie cover for the book because it drives me nuts when a book has a cover and then they release a movie And then all you can find is the movie cover. So thank goodness Amazon had the not... I clicked the autofocus button and it goes out of focus again. Thank goodness Amazon had the not movie cover for the book. And it's a paperback, so, you know. And it's got the reviews and stuff, and it says soon to be a major motion picture on it. But, you know, it doesn't have anything else. It's just, you know, it's the actual cover of the guy in the spacesuit. So, but if you haven't heard of The Martian, and I don't know how you haven't, but if you haven't, I'll read you the summary. I'll read you the thing on the back. A mission to Mars, a freak accident, one man struggled to survive. 6 days ago, astronaut Mark Watney, I think that's how you say the name, became one of the first people to walk on Mars. Now he's sure he'll be the first person to die there. After a dust storm forces his crew to evacuate the planet while thinking him dead, Mark finds himself stranded on Mars' surface with no way to signal Earth that he's alive. And even if he could get word out, his supplies will be gone years before a rescue could arrive. Chances are, though, Mark won't have time to starve to death. The damaged machinery, unforgiving environment, or plain old human error are much more likely to kill him first. Armed with nothing but his ingenuity, his engineering skills, and a gallows sense of humor that proves to be his greatest source of strength, Mark embarks on a dogged quest to stay alive. But will his resourcefulness be enough to overcome the impossible odds against him? Now, I thought it was going to be a super depressing book because it's a dude stranded on Mars. But apparently people say it's really good and people have read it and they're like, oh my god, it's amazing. So I'm giving it a shot. I'm reading it. We shall see. I have not yet started it. Don't spoil. I'm going to assume he gets off the planet considering they made a motion picture about it. But other than that, don't tell me what happens. I'll find out as I go. So, I think now that is it. Other than the last thing I want to talk about is goals for 2016. And they're not, I was writing some down because, like, I was watching podcasts this morning while I was working on the hat, and I'm like, oh, I guess I should set some 2016 goals. But they're kind of ones that would happen anyways, but I just want to kind of put them out there. So, like, I want to get quicker at designing patterns. I want to, because I started the lilac leaves pattern in May, and I didn't finish it until January. And I'm like, no, I need to design far quicker than that. I want to get out more than one pattern a year. So I'm going to try for, like, every 2 months. Something like that. We'll see. I make no guarantees, but since this one is going pretty well, fingers crossed, right? So I want to finish the Shawl of Doom. And I know that's been, if you look back on my blog where I've done written posts, it's been on my list for like 2 years now, and this makes year 3, but hopefully this is the year. I want to finish the cross-stitch project I have in the hoop, because really, that's like 2 or 3 years old, and really I should just finish it. I should just finish it. I really should. I want to spin at least 2 times a week. I haven't really been spinning at all. But since I'm home, I want to try spinning twice a week. And then I want to finish the quilt I started last year as the quilt block of the month, because I kind of fell off the wagon in July when I got sick. And then, I didn't ever get back on the wagon. So I have a list of podcasts here. But anyways, I never got back on the wagon. So I want to finish that, because I have 2 sewing machines here, both my, like, modern one and my cabinet one that is a treadle, old Singer treadle from 1919. And I want to sew more. So, but I also want to get that quilt done, because it would be a nice, big quilt, right? So I guess those are my goals for 2016. They're not as extravagant as some people's goals, but those are me and what will work for me, I hope, fingers crossed. So, and I have a whole year to do them, so hopefully. The Shawl of Doom is the one I really want to finish, and the quilt. Shawl of Doom and quilt. Everything else is kind of lower priority, but the Shawl of Doom and the quilt. However, the Shawl of Doom is kind of on hold until winter camp is over, because it doesn't count for winter camp, because you can't use whips for winter camp. So the Shawl of Doom is on hold until April, at which point it's back in rotation, and then I will hopefully be able to finish it in a month or 2 once I get it back in rotation, because, like I said, winter camp only takes new projects, and this is a 3-year-old whip, so have to put it. I'm putting my whips aside for winter camp, and then I will come back to them. Except, so, you know, and then we'll go from there. So, anyways, that is it. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good week, and I will see you next week. Bye!